How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today I'm really excited because we're going to be taking a look at the newest issue of Shudder Magazine. This is issue number 9 for April 2023, and once again, we feature 6 new black and white, classically styled anthology horror stories. I really do love this comic. It's always fun. It's a good throwback, but they always do a good enough job of reinventing the stories and the characters and making them a little bit different each time. It keeps it in that familiar nostalgia that we like, but always does a good enough job at making it new and different and interesting. Lots of fun twists and lots of cool classic concepts. This magazine and its sister magazine, Vampiress Carmilla, I always like that they're incredibly consistent. There's never really been a bad issue, or at least since I've been reading it, and I really do like them. So this magazine, once again, really good. We get this cool stagecoach driver on the front cover, which they do put in one of their stories, and also, if you guys are fans of cowboy stories, we get 2 stories in here featuring the classic cowboy characters. So that's always really fun to see, you know, an old genre get reinvented into this horror magazine as well. But anyway, I always found the best way to talk about this book is to go in and do little mini reviews for each story. I'll show you guys a little of the story, and I'll show you guys a little of the art, but I won't be doing any major spoilers, and for a magazine like this, I do want to say I'll be doing my best to avoid the twist, because the twists are always super fun. Anyway, if you guys want to see more of this magazine, without further ado, let's switch to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at Shudder Magazine, number 9 for April 2023. Let's pull it closer to the camera. Shudder logo, nice red to match the picture below it. And we get Ride the Coach of Death, see page 7. And then we get a really nice cover. You know, I like all the Shudder, Carmilla, and Creeps covers, but that being said, I don't know, I really like this one. You know, if a skeleton who in the story is either the Grim Reaper or the Devil, I'd say probably the Grim Reaper, riding his coach, and you get coming right at the camera, the skeleton horses with the red eyes, and there's fire behind them, because going to hell, I guess, and yeah, I don't know. It's horror, but it's also really cool. So, again, a cover I really do like, and the cover is credited to St. Julian here. We open up the magazine, and Auntie Fearsome's Fables, this time she's talking about warlocks, and it talks about the kind of origin of the word and what it meant for various cultures, but it basically wound up meaning male equivalent of witch. I watched that movie a little bit ago, House with the Clocks in its Walls. What's a warlock? A boy witch, with Jack Black. But, you know, it talks about them bringing people back to life and how they still exist today, so you gotta be careful, you know? And then we get over here the credits, if you guys want to pause and see those, and the preview images with the table of contents, so if you want to find a certain story. After the letters page, we get Ride the Coach of Death, The Man with 2 Lives, The Way of the Werewolf, Art Ghoulery, Primitives, and A Bat Time Story. And then, of course, after that, we get the letters page. Aunt Shudder's there on her stamp, and we get people talking about the Monster Maker from Shudder number 7. And then after that, we get into the stories proper. Now, I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but that being said, I will show you guys a little bit of the story, a little bit of the art, but I'll try to not go too far into each one, and I'll try to be avoiding those twists. Anyway, starting off with Ride the Coach of Death. We get these two guys going to their uncle's house. He's apparently a big, well-off entertainer, and now he lives in this haunted mansion. Always gotta love a good haunted mansion. And it turns out they need money, and they're going to try to find some way to get some from their uncle. And the uncle says, "It's good to see you, but I really need you guys to leave." And he's doing these sort of Dinner with the Dead shows, and they say, "Well, we can help you out with that. We can make you a evil stagecoach." And the uncle says, "Why, it looks nothing like the devil's real stagecoach." And they think he's just kind of crazy in his old age, but he says he's been seeing the real devil. And then we get this scene where they follow him out late at night, and they go see him at the crossroads, and he left alcohol and gold for the devil there. And of course they think he's crazy, so they're just going to pick that up, and that's not going to be good for the two of them. You know, let's just say this is a horror story. We obviously don't want to mess with that, and things are going to go crazy from there. Anyway, after that, we get A Man with Two Lives, and this is Aunt Shudder's Decrepit Classics, and this is an Ambrose Bryce story from 1905. I really do like when they do old school horror stories, you know, reinvent the classics as comics, always a fun idea. Anyway, so this classic story opens up with this man named David Duck, who says he has the nickname of Dead Duck. But how did he get this nickname? And it turns out he was the lone survivor from his troop in a war against the Native Americans. However, the Native Americans tracked him down when he was sleeping, almost killed him. He shot one of them, and now he's on the run. And it talks about how he's pinned down, he runs out of supplies, and the last thing he remembers was blindly charging at him in a last-ditch effort, and then blackness. However, strangely, he wakes up again in the river, and he goes to find the world where he's supposed to be dead, but he's clearly not. And it's a fun little story, you know, a good classic, you know, tale of, you know, the soldier who comes back and the world is kind of, you know, not accepting him anymore. It is really interesting, you know, but I don't want to go too far into spoiler territory. After that, The Way of the Werewolf, where we get this kid, and he has a problem where he's being bullied, and he goes home, and he retreats to his bed where he has a bunch of posters from classic werewolf movies. Werewolves are kind of his fantasy retreat from the bad world around him. Well, we get another scene where they're on this bridge and the bully beats him up and actually steals his copy of Vampiress Carmilla. Fun little Easter egg there for those of us who read the other magazine. But he looks down from the bridge and he sees a severed hand with a bite mark on it lying underneath the bridge, and this gives him an idea that maybe there is a real werewolf out there, and if there is, maybe he can find some way to use this situation to his advantage. So again, werewolf is a classic creature, but this story is going to be a reinvention of it. Don't expect a standard werewolf tale there. After that, we get the story Art Ghoulery, and it's this guy who's doing artwork inspired by Dante's Inferno. However, the art gallery owner is pulling him after one day because his reception was a big flop. Not too many people came, and the only one there is this one weirdo in his gallery. So they say his artwork's too gruesome, no one's really appreciating it, And in turn, he's kind of a failure. He has to go ahead and ship all his work back to his studio, an expensive cost, especially since no one bought any, and now he's just out of money, you know? But anyway, he's approached by this mysterious figure on the street who says, "I appreciate your work. Come to this gallery opening of my own at a private residence." And he goes there, and there's a bunch of strange people, all super, super rich, and they unveil a statue of Elizabeth Bathory bathing in blood, a gruesome, macabre topic, and he touches the water and finds that it's real blood in the tub, and that might be a real body. And that being said, it looks like this guy wants him to be his next artist. But what's going on here? Where are they getting these bodies from? And of course, it's a classic case of finding some profession and reinventing it as a horror version of this profession. You know, a little bit like, what was that old movie, A Bucket of Blood? But I really do like horror's ability to go around and say, what if there was a horror version of every single thing you could imagine? And the idea of a secret group meeting to show this extreme art, yeah, that's pretty fun as well. But anyway, after that, we get the story Primitives, and it talks about the wars and how the white men saw themselves as civilized and used the derogatory term primitives for the Native Americans. And we see this general who is all about glory and, you know, wanting to go out and make something for himself. Well, he's being chased away by a group of Native Americans. They retreat to higher ground when they stop following them. And the guide says that's because they won't come up here. This is their burial ground, and they won't go on the burial ground unless it's to bury someone, so they're not gonna come up here. And the guy keeps thinking it's some sort of trick. He says a bunch of horrible, horrible things, and I do like his guide just responds with, "Reckon they don't think much of us neither." So yeah, not good relations, but they're camped out up here on this burial ground where the Native Americans know better than to go up there, and we can see, we get a basic idea of what's probably going to happen here. But yeah, a fun revenge story, always with anthology horror. Love to see the jerks get their comeuppance, and we're setting it up with a pretty good jerk here. After that, we see this bat fly in, and it bites the neck of this horse, waking it up, and we get the title, A Bat Time Story. However, Aunt Shudder will tell us in her opening speech that this is not going to be a vampire story. However, there will be bats and lots of blood. And our two characters are over here. This guy is a political prisoner, and he's going to be executed, and his guard is actually the guy who's going to execute him. So he's in a tight spot. And anyway, eventually that bat from earlier is going to come into his cell there, and he sees the bat, and he decides to, because the guard beat him up and he's bleeding anyway, feed the bat some of his blood, and that's going to give him an idea. Don't they say something about, I think it was tigers, and how if tigers get a taste for human blood, they supposedly don't want anything else? Well, that's going to give him this sort of idea to try to escape, and I thought it was pretty fun. That being said, I do kind of wish it was a bigger thing, you know, you see kind of what he was up to, and I guess it kind of makes sense, but I really wish it just went absolutely crazy. But overall, some good stories in here. Like I said, 2 stories with cowboys, but I really do like this character here of the stagecoach. And I don't know, I'm thinking maybe I should find some display for some of these magazines or something, because sometimes the art is just too good, you know? I really like that one. Other stories like, the werewolf story was pretty fun and a good reinvention. So overall, once again, this magazine remains incredibly consistent and lots of fun stories in here as well. But this one is definitely one that the big standout is this really cool cover, at least for me. So definitely did like that. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Creeps/Carmilla/Shudder playlist. If you want to see me talk about more, I've talked about, at the time of recording, all of Carmilla and Shudder, so there should be a lot of those for you to watch in there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.